Welcome to the Made for Agriculture podcast with Adam, Cameron, and Emily. Today's host is Emily Beck.
So, welcome to the Made for Agriculture podcast. I am your host, Emily Beck, and today we have a couple guests with us, as you can see if you're watching through our YouTube or any of those other podcast channels with a viewing. But again, we have some new people here to talk to. They're actually with the University of Missouri, but it's kind of an odd partnership with NRCS. We'll dive into that deeper, but for right now, let's go ahead and have everybody introduce yourselves and kind of talk about your region and then how long you have been with this wonderful, wonderful agency. So, Jeana, if you mind starting.
Absolutely. So my name's Jeana Curtis, and I cover the Northern Missouri REEC. That stands for Research, Extension, and Education Centers. So there's 4 across the state. 3 of us are here today. 1 is on maternity leave currently. So I am the outreach coordinator for the Northern Missouri REEC, and we work as a partnership with NRCS to help promote the practices and the climate smart agriculture programs through showcasing what we do here on the farms and providing information for producers. I have been here since July 1st. These are all new positions, brand new partnership. So I've been here since July 1st and cover pretty much anywhere across Northern Missouri. We have farms around Novelty, which is Knox and Shelby County, north of Trenton, and then Linneus, which is close to Brookfield.
Those are some really good. I know I've been on a couple of those outreach events at those places. They're really nice ones.
Absolutely.
But sorry. Continue. Kaylin.
Hi, I'm Kaylin Franscisco. I am the outreach coordinator for the Southwest Missouri region. And I have been here since the end of January.
So you're the old lady of the group.
I am.
So you said you covered the southwest part of it. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
We're stationed down in Mount Vernon.
Okay. And is there any great locations down there that you have besides Mount Vernon? Because I know that is a really nice one.
No, we just have a center right here facility on the farm, and so we utilize that quite a bit. And it's right off I-44, so it's easy to get to.
I'm not even going to try and say your name. I've tried it several times. Jibin?
Yeah. So, Hey, I'm Jibin, baby. I'm the outreach coordinator for Central Missouri REEC. And my office is in South Farm in Columbia, Missouri, and it's just like a few miles from the University of Missouri. So I'm a newbie to this group, so I joined on second week of August. So it's been 2.5 months in this role. So like Jeana said, we act as an connector between like University of Missouri, their outreach and extension, and on the other side to try to connect with farmers, mainly focusing on socially disadvantaged and underserved farmers.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, you guys are from all across the state and you do all kinds of amazing things that we're going to dive in deeper about and talk more about. But I mean, the infancy of this, it sounds like it just started, especially since Kaylin is the oldest of them in January that you started. And so how did this come about, and how is NRCS, Mizzou, and Kafner, and then your REECs all connected together? So if someone was to hear, this podcast and they'd be like, okay, it's just another MU Extension person. That's not the case. So if you could elaborate a little bit further on what exactly this is and how it came about.
So as far as how it came about, it actually came about here in Novelty at one of the farms here in the Northern REEC. We have a farm called Grace Greenlee. It's kind of a conservation showcase farm. There's all sorts of different NRCS practices taking place on this farm. And so the NRCS folks were out here one day, and Scott Edwards, who happens to be the state conservationist, was talking to my director, Jeff Case, and he was like, oh my gosh, these practices that you guys are doing are so wonderful. You have so many of them. But if we look in both directions, the neighboring farms aren't utilizing any of them. So how do we bridge this gap between the research and the farmer? And so they got to brainstorming together and they created an agreement. And that would have been 2 summers ago, I believe. So it took a little while to kind of get started. Then Kaylin would have been the first one hired once it actually went through. And so from there, it gets a little messy, but as we've talked about, we are employed by the University of Missouri through the College of Agriculture, Food, and Natural Resources, but funded by NRCS. And then beyond that, the College of Ag has kind of split its research, extension, and education centers into 4 different groups. So that's where you get our REECs, and you have Northern, Central, Delta, and Southwest.
Yeah. Thank you for wrapping that up because, yeah, like we were talking about earlier, I'm like, how is this even happening? And that's pretty amazing that, the head of NRCS for Missouri, recognized that you guys are doing amazing things and just trying to see how that connection can occur. I know you're saying, again, that it just started, but have you guys already seen success in this program with any outreach that you've had and engagement? Because you cover a large area and I understand that because I also cover the whole state. So it's just like, whew, how do I get there? So yeah, what success have you guys seen or what are you looking forward to in the future since it is such a young start?
So,
Okay.
Biting at the bit.
So basically, success for us would mean just research, outreach to any and all demographics in the state of Missouri, no matter which region. As far as it goes with the NRCS side, the NRCS is actually there. So they're in charge of doing the application because we're trying to promote and send outreach of all these different programs that the NRCS has. So as far as it goes with success of the programs and like the applications, we don't really have any involvement in with that.
Oh, okay.
It depends on the NRCS personnel. And usually they'll do a follow-up. If someone is interested with a program, then they'll go to their local NRCS office and then they will apply with their person. And then they will usually take it from there, mainly.
Okay.
I'd say we have a lot of success so far. Just with different outreach events, like we have big field days. Each REEC has a big field day, and there's a lot of people that come out to those. Each REEC, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been to a couple of those. Like I've said, they're really nice events. But Jibin, if you'd like to, chime in on some of your other ones that you may have had.
Yeah. So in this role so far, I participated and arranged more than like 10 outreach events, mainly through field days. Along with this outreach events, I do participate on conferences and workshops and trainings. So when we participate in this outreach events, like Jeana and Kaylin said, like we have a bunch of, I normally categorize these people who are interested in NRCS like as 2 groups. First group is like those who are aware about NRCS and those who are already practicing NRCS programs or post-year activities. Second one is those who are not aware about NRCS but are really interested to get into those practices. So we talk with them when we arrange the booth, and based on their needs, say if you have, say, 10 acres of land and you're not doing anything, or so we try to connect with them with no-till practices or pollinators, habitat, and those kind of things. So based on their need, we try to connect to the right person from NRCS, and each county, they have their field officers from NRCS. So we try to be like acting as a connector to lead them to the right person based on what they need and what matched to their requirement. Along with that, last month I launched a survey for our region. Just want to know the level of awareness about awareness of public related to NRCS
Mm-hmm.
practices. So for this, when you go to this outreach event, we will put a barcode so that they can scan, which may take like 2 minutes to participate in that survey. And like the normal survey, this is not like a forceful requirement. Like we talk with them like 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll ask, hey, can you participate if you don't mind? And we'll give them some NRCS merchandise like keychain or pen or those kind of things.
So you're not kidnapping them.
No. No. It's not like I said, it's not like a restaurant satisfaction survey where everyone can participate. No.
Yep.
So my intention is like, even if I get only 50 people, that should be the right one.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are really interested. So at the end of the survey, they have a contact information page where they can write their email. So my plan is to, like, in 2-3 months when we finish the survey, just to sort out those email and try to connect with them again and follow up with them. So that's a service, another thing which I promote during my outreach events. Along with that, we go for career fair in schools or other outreach events where kids participate, high schoolers or college kids participate, where we promote NRCS internship opportunities and career opportunities like soil engineers or like testing lab. Have a lot of opportunities, or pathway programs as like internship opportunities and those kind of things. So this is. I believe I have like a good partner from NRCS who is a training coordinator in our region. So we work together, arrange events, and work together and move forward.
Okay, yeah. So you're definitely doing a lot in your area as well, and there's a lot of different connection that not only producers but upcoming students or graduating groups of people can also partake and partner with you guys.
Just to add up, one of the advantage for my region, Central Missouri region, compared to Jeana's and Kaylin's region is like we have all different kinds of population. We have urban people. So when we arrange field day in our farm, that was like one of the biggest event from Kafner. 3,000 to 4,000 people participate, and most of them were, yeah. So most of them were related to urban population, like family of like husband and wife with 2 kids, but they have the ag background from their great grandfathers or like parents. So they settled in Colombia. So we try to promote urban agriculture. They may be having like half an acre of lot. So we can promote the backyard agriculture activities, NRCS practices, mulching, and those kind of things. And when we go to like rural towns where we have like a few farms, for those field days, we try to promote the actual NRCS practices like EQ or stewardship program, pollinators habitat, and those kind of things.
Yeah. And whenever you guys are talking about bridging that gap of conservation to agriculture, that's something that even my role, since my role, I'm the conservation specialist for an ag retailer, but I'm also, funded through NRCS and MDC. And so we're actively doing the same things, trying to get producers that may not have typically gone into those offices, having those discussions with them, just because it's a different face, it's a different person coming to them. They already buy seed from us, why not talk about some edge of field stuff that they might be able to do, some buffers. And so I agree, it's a really resource for those producers that are already established, but also those producers that are just getting into agriculture, or maybe typically didn't view themselves as ag, because there is, smaller amount of land that people have nowadays, a lot more folks that have smaller land, and you can still utilize that and get funding for your property. What is it, 1/8 of an acre that you need for US or NRCS funding? I think is the smallest amount that you need on that.
So the smallest amount is like, it depends on region to region, but in our survey, the screening question for our survey is like, do you lease or own more than 1/4 of an acre of land? So if yes, they are eligible to participate in this survey, because for urban ag, we don't need even like 1 acre of land. Like even if you have the small quantity, you are eligible to participate or practice urban agriculture. So that's how we design to accommodate all the different kinds of people from different farming background.
Yeah, and I know that you guys had also mentioned going into schools, and that sounds like it's something that's really close to Jeana's heart from her previous role. And so how have you taken your previous role, if you want to explain what that was, and brought it into your current role?
Absolutely. So I served as the high school agriculture instructor and FFA advisor at my hometown high school for 3 years previously to this, and absolutely loved that opportunity. I was a charter member of that chapter, so to be able to go back and serve was a really, really unique and fun opportunity. I would probably still be there, but I have a toddler at home, and so the time with FFA was not great for my family, is the only reason that I left that. But this has been a really good shift because I've been able to still use all of those connections that I made. And this is a really good combination. I'm still educating people and getting that side still in agriculture, but I also get to be on the farm more, work directly with producers. So it's been a really good combination of all the things that I love. And I've been able to really pull in, like I said, those resources, but also having those connections with the ag teachers has been very important. Not only are they bringing up our next generation of workforce and our next generation of farmers, so it's important to be able to share the information with them about the opportunities that they can have to receive help and to better their farms for those students, but also they have been a big help to us in the sense that they might know that, hey, the education and information for this particular area in agriculture is lacking a little bit. Let's focus on that. And so then we can pull that into some of our outreach events. And we have all of those resources through the university, through our faculty and extension and all of those things. So it's been a really good partnership to be able to share the information from the college level and the NRCS level back to that high school level and vice versa. That relationship of sharing information has been invaluable because that's what it's all about, right? The land grant mission of Mizzou is all about getting the resources from the actual campus to our communities. And that's what we're doing. And so that's been wonderful. And then to kind of piggyback on that, we were talking about the events that we've done, the events that we're excited for, what we consider success. For us, a big thing has been really trying to build that workforce development in the industry. So one of the projects we've been working on, which is actually how Emily, you and I connected, is our drone projects. And so we have been able to do a lot of research with drones in agriculture and using them for practices such as cover crops and things like that that tie back into NRCS standard practices. And one of what I would consider probably one of our most successful events is being able to bring farmers, industry professionals, anyone who's interested in utilizing the drones, utility drones for agriculture, onto our campus here at Novelty and actually demonstrating to them, sharing our knowledge and information, putting the resources into their hands. And NRCS, I think, has really appreciated that as well, because that's an area that they haven't been able to dive into a whole lot yet, because Dr. Gurbir Singh is one of the first ones that he is the first one who's done any of that research. So having him here on site has been a huge help and allowed us to really bridge another gap, a new gap, right? Like that's an area that the farmers aren't used to trying to find resources for because it is still so new and it's changing so rapidly.
It definitely is. And I know that that next generation has got a lot of interest in the technology piece. And so for you guys to be doing that, that's groundbreaking. I mean, we're even going to do a podcast later to even highlight that further with Mizzou and MFA. But yeah, so you guys have talked about different events and you're from different regions. And so you guys will have different events at different times, especially since Kaylin, you're more with the livestock side of things. When would you more have your events as opposed to Jeana, who is saying that, maybe in that July, August timeframe? So Kaylin, when do you usually have your events?
Well, we usually have our annual field day, and that'll be in September. But usually the slow time for farmers in this area would be right after calving season, so late winter to early spring, really. We do always have a grazing systems class, like workshop class certificate, where they can get their certificate. And that'll be usually around April, May.
Okay. So pretty much any time of the year, you guys have something going on. Yeah, you just rock star in it. Okay.
Summer's a little bit slower, but
yeah. But I know that you guys, and I know that Jibin has already talked about, some of his outreach and conferences that he's doing. How do upcoming producers, whether you're a student or you're a producer that's also well established, not getting their news just at the coffee shop, how do you guys actually get those producers to know when things are occurring? I know you said that you shared some of NRCS's outreach events, but how do you get that to the people?
So, along with NRCS events, I do try to network a lot. For example, last week I participated in Missouri Department of Conservation, the Roundtable Conference, and I met like officials and staff from all the different state agencies, mainly into conservation, and we have like a lot of faculties from different universities from the state. So network. That's my policy or like motto, to have more future events. So, like both of them, Kaylin and Jeana said, most of this outreach events and field days are during August, September, or starting from July to September. In addition to that, I'm trying to fill up my slots for November and December, maybe like indoor events, like through conferences. I have an event coming up tomorrow in Springfield. So my NRCS partner and I, we are participating in that event. Even though it's like on the other end, I believe that it somehow belongs to the Central Missouri region. So I'm participating in that. When we go there, like we meet another people like from different region, they have some events, and we also try to engage in those activities. That's how, and I believe that that's like a successful strategy for me, especially if I'm centrally located, so I have access to all the other regions.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're definitely touching on a lot of different areas within Missouri. That's really important.
For us, being in a much more rural area, we have decided to really utilize social media. And I know that doesn't necessarily hit our entire audience, but it's a good start. And it's an easy way to push information out there more frequently and more consistently. So I established 5 different social media channels, and then
oh wow,
yes, and then we also, all of us, have a monthly newsletter. That's a big way that we push information out. So they all go out a little bit different times, I believe. Mine just came out today. It comes out the first of each month, and so within that we highlight previous events. We spotlight faculty and staff. We talk about upcoming events. I highlight conservation practices and the partnership with NRCS, and then farm updates. So any of the research or activities that are taking place on the farm. That's been a really wonderful way to get some of that information out there, as well as just partnerships like this, right? Like different local media channels. We always like to have the news channel come out and do little videos with us. They find it interesting. I think that it's a really cool education opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
The ag teacher in me thinks that that's wonderful, because especially in our area, that person who came out had never been on a farm. He came from Florida. Mm-hmm. He had no idea. He was asking questions that most people would think are silly, but if you don't know, you don't know, mm-hmm. right? And the only way we learn is if we ask. And so I love those opportunities to be able to bring people to the farm, from different areas and build those networks and connections as well.
Oh, yeah. And your newsletters that you all send out, are those mailed, or are those also like FSA's letters that you all just get like an email? How are those facilitated?
They're email.
Email? Okay.
I think we have the opportunity to set them up on text. I personally have not yet. I don't know if anyone else has, but email has been the main way.
Okay.
Yeah. So down in this region, I do utilize a lot of social media, but we are rural, like Jeana's region up there. So I actually like to do the old-fashioned way, and in our local newspaper, we have like a little calendar section, and I put events on there, just for people that don't have social media.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and then I go to local coffee shops and I put up flyers and things, and I really try to utilize and try to get all demographics, because I mean education is key, and it doesn't stop at any age. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And coffee shops, always in the mornings whenever you drive by. I know the one here local, they're just all out in a group, sitting at the table outside. I think they'll move in when it gets a little bit colder, but yeah, that's how a lot of information for sure gets by. How does someone find your social media pages or get on that newsletter email list?
So we have a joint site. If you go to moaes.missouri.edu, there's a tab for each of the REECs. So you'll see Central REEC, Northern REEC, Fisher Delta, and Southwest. And depending on where you're at, you pick your region. And in there's a link to sign up for our newsletters. And that also tells you some information. It'll give you all of our contact information, so you can find any of our names, our contact information, our email. And then as far as social media goes, since we all have our own, the names are all different, and it depends on the platform, how long they will let that name be, because University of Missouri, Northern Missouri Research Extension and Education Center is a very long name. So
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So those have been tailored. So unfortunately, they're not always the exact same, but it's usually like MU Northern Missouri REEC or MU Northern Missouri Research Extension Education Center, and then switch out Northern for whatever area. And then, yeah, depending on if you guys have anything different.
I'd like to add, I don't think that our newsletter sign up is on the website, but our Facebook link is on the website, and on Facebook I have where you can sign up to our newsletter on the Facebook link. And then at each event, I always bring around a little sign-up sheet at our little booth, and that's how I get a lot of people.
Okay. Can they also email you all individually to get on that newsletter? Okay. Okay. And your contact informations would also be on the website that you had mentioned, the moaes.mo.edu?
Missouri.edu.
Missouri.edu. Okay. .edu.
And Central Missouri, we do have the newsletter too. Like you said, it's easy to sign up and get the updates related to the. To add up, like Kaylin said, I still use all the different types of like methods to reach the different audiences. Like she mentioned about flyers or going to the coffee shop or calendars thing. So when we arrange this outreach event, I asked my partner from NRCS, so he will come with his plan with a lot of flyers. So definitely, apart from social media, we need to consider all the age groups or all the different category of. So if they want to know much more about pollinators, we'll give the flyers related to pollinators. Or if they want to participate in my survey, like which I initiated, we have the barcode thing. And if they have the old style cell phone or something like that, I'll give the printout of that barcode, so they can take a piece of paper so they can take that home, like get the assistance from their kids or like grandkids to participate in that survey. So I too like followed different kinds of method, like the old style method and the new style method. in order to reach the right audiences and to communicate with them related to the NRCS practices.
Wow. So there's going to be a lot of different resources that you guys can access in multiple different parts of the state, because you guys are covering it all for sure.
Yeah,
And even the one that is not represented here, I'm sure she'll have also on that website as well, and the different things that she would be able to bring to the table for your producers. But is there anything else that you guys would like to mention about this amazing partnership that you have and that you're wanting our producers to know, whether they're historically underserved or established producers?
Yeah, I would like to add to introduce about another project which I just kickstarted last week. It's mainly our position is mostly into outreach and extension activities, trying to connect with the right people and try to promote NRCS. Along with that, Dusty is my REIC director, so I was discussing with Dusty, saying that I have a little bit. I graduated from Mizzou in 2022, so I was here in Mizzou for like 5 years, from 18 to 22, as a grad student. So I just want to add a little bit of research to this outreach activities. So one of the projects which I started last week is to compare the NRCS database in the sense that I just analyzed last 20 years of USDA ag census report. So
Wow.
with starting from 2002, we have every 5 years, 2007, 2012, 17, and the latest one survey was on 2022, and the report was published on last February. So I think table 51 or 50 discussed about conservation practices, and we have the state-wise data. So I'm looking in the way that, for example, in Missouri, we have, say, 1,000 farms, for example, 1,000 farms practicing conservation practices of no-till or no-till practices. And that's my first part. So I have the secondary data already with me, published by USDA. And as in the stage 2, I'm working with NRCS to see out of this 1,000 farms, how many farms are supported by NRCS. Because in order to have no-till practices, apart from NRCS, other agencies local agency will support the cost share program or incentive program, or some of the farmers will doesn't have any access to this, but they do their own no-till practices. So out of this 1,000 farms, say 100 farms supported by NRCS. That means 10% has been supported by NRCS. So I'm looking at the trend from last 20 years, whether it's increasing or decreasing, or say 2002 to 12, it's increasing from 10 to 15 to 20%, and 17 all of a sudden it dropped. So what is the reason? So I just kickstarted that project. So I'm approaching NRCS to get their database so that I can compare just limited with the state of Missouri to see conservation from NRCS and overall state, how it is related and it's growing or going down.
Yeah, because I would be very interested in that as well. I've done several podcasts on all the different agencies and how they could help producers, and USDA NRCS doesn't capture them all, and so that would be nice to see where is that gap, and is anybody filling that gap with another agency, another cost share opportunity, or is that producer just taking it on themselves to just go above and beyond without any of it? Yeah.
Like I said, in last 20 years, if it is increasing from 10 to 12 or 12 to 14, that's a good sign, right? On the other side, if it's in a mature stage or saturated stage or declining, we need to know what is the reason.
Oh yeah.
So I believe that will be what should I say? That will be a topic to discuss with NRCS policymakers to see where we lags or those kind of things.
Yeah. Reducing the amount of sediment going into waters, and in turn nutrients going into those waters as well. Because we ain't making more soil if we're losing it, that's for sure. But does anybody else have anything to add? Because this has been really great discussion that you guys have had.
I would just say we're obviously very thankful for this partnership, and I think it's wonderful. I think that there's so much that can come from this. But I would also say, as a producer who is listening to this, feel free to reach out to us if there's an area that you're not sure about, right? Like, our goal is to kind of switch the trend from I'm ready to build terraces, so I'm going to go into my NRCS office, to really having that relationship where we can give you a stacked practice of these are all the things we can offer for your specific farm. And we are just the first step of that. Obviously, we aren't going to give you that package, but we can help build those relationships with your local NRCS. Or if there's a specific area that you're wanting information on and you haven't been able to find it, we have so many resources. We can either share those with you or tell you about an event that's coming up. Or if it's something that we think there's enough interest in, we will absolutely create an event where we can bring in those resources and share that information, because that's what our job is. It's outreach and education, and it's what we're passionate about. And so any opportunity where we see that we can fill a gap and get information into the hands of our producers in the area that they really need that information, that's what we would love to know. So feel free to reach out if there's a specific area that you would like to see us working more on.
And that's amazing that you guys are even offering that, because especially with prices the way they are in the row crop industry, farming industry right now, that it would be nice to see, what the numbers are, how the practices are applying to the land before you do it yourself, spending your own money on that, especially if you're not wanting to do cost share right away. So that would be really great. And Kaylin, I didn't know also on the cattle side of it, are you guys doing a lot with native warm season grasses? Or I know you'd mentioned your classes on rotational grazing, but are you doing a lot down there too to kind of show producers what it looks like and how they could implement it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the best part about working on a research specific farm would be that they're always developing new findings. And so there's a lot of things where they do a bunch of research on native warm season grasses and then like reproduction, nutrients. And so we always are finding new answers that can really help and benefit the producers, especially like you said with the costs nowadays. It's really beneficial to figure out what works and what doesn't work before you end up spending money and hating it.
Yeah. Or losing the farm or the cattle that you've already bought. Yeah.
Emily, you brought up a good point there too, as far as, and Kaylin, we have those practices on the farms. These farms are the producers' farms. These are university farms through the land grant system. So we are always open. We are open for producers and consumers as well, industry leaders, whoever it might be, to come see what we're doing on these farms. Come check out the practices in action. Ask the faculty, the researchers who are hands-on, boots on the ground doing the research, what they think of the practice, what benefits they've seen. Is it beneficial for my specific farm? Is it not? All of those things. So like I said, we all have our own areas, the farms do, and different practices taking place. For us, we have practices on every single farm here in northern Missouri, but we specifically have that conservation showcase farm. We would love for producers who have questions about a specific practice to come see that farm, see how it's benefiting, what it actually looks like in place, talk to the faculty who are involved with that.
Wow.
And that's kind of like, as I mentioned before, we do all of our events here on the farm. So like whenever we have workshops and demonstrations, we can show them hands-on what we do here and how it's worked out for us, so they can visually see and learn from the producer or learn from the researchers that too. And I think it's also worth mentioning that here anyways, we partner a lot with MU Extension. And MU Extension has different counties. It's county specific, so they'll have different agents in each county, and we do a lot of workshops with them too, partnering with them.
Yeah, they're good. They're also a really good resource too. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that one up. Okay, we've covered quite a bit of things, and we've gone across the landscape quite literally with our discussion, and different opportunities that are there for producers. But it sounds like just go on to the website, the mo.aes.missouri.edu, look these wonderful people up, and then get in touch with them to get on their newsletter, but also looking up on their social media to get any of their education and outreach events. Almost done. Of what's going on, but also what NRCS may be doing in that area as well. They have a lot of different great opportunities to have those different out in the field contacts to see what they're doing as well, but also with different job opportunities, like Jibin had also mentioned. But MFA has some wonderful internship opportunities as well, if you'd like to look on our webpage for those. But just be open and looking at your local coffee shop for maybe a flyer Kaylin put up, and get on that newsletter. But thank you guys, and hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to the Made for Agriculture podcast, brought to you by MFA, your whole farm solution.